would have thought that the first world's top model to be referred to as the most beautiful girl in the world was once called an ugly duckling? Yasmin Ghouri's journey into the limelight was characterized by so many highs and lows. From the religious segregation she faced as a child, to the cultural bias, the constant bullies in school, and finally to her having to run away from home. How did she navigate her transition? And what does her life look like now? Keep watching as we tell the story of this inspiring model. Growing up as a Muslim. Yasmin Ghouri, the first Muslim woman to become the world's top model, was born in Montreal, Canada, to a Pakistani father, Moin Ghouri, and a German mother, Linda Ghouri, on March 23, 1971. Moin Ghouri's father was a Muslim cleric in Quebec's Muslim community. You can imagine what young Yasmin would have gone through and the type of life she would have lived as a child, being the daughter of not just a Muslim cleric, but a dedicated and well-respected Islamic cleric and imam, a position given to someone who was versed in Quranic teachings and Islamic doctrines. No doubt she must have been pressured to conform to the tenets of the Islamic faith. You can guess what her dress would have looked like. It certainly would be nothing short of an abaya with her head fully covered with a hijab. Her father, in a bid to protect his name and image, would have ensured strict adherence to the doctrines and teachings of Islam. Growing up in a multicultural environment must have given her the privilege to embrace her heritage and, at the same time, adapt to Western culture. But not without some rejections and ridicule from her classmates, her teenage years. As if life at home was not difficult enough, Yasmin endured constant bullying from school. From being bullied due to her father being a Pakistani to being bullied because of her brown skin. As if that was not worse enough, she was the only Muslim student in the area, so connecting with other people of her age was an almost impossible mission. She faced segregation, and many of her age mates were indifferent toward her. Little did they know that she would be the most sought-after model of her time. Years later, she took to her Instagram to reminisce on her days in school. She wrote, "Racism was kind of a problem in school, and then on top of it, religion is also quite a heavy thing. No one else was Muslim in my school." From her childhood into her mid-teenage years, she lived with low self-esteem, and she felt inferior. She never saw herself as beautiful, leading her to avoid being photographed as a child, making it almost impossible to get her childhood pictures. Yasmin immersed herself in her studies to cope with this loneliness, spending much of her time focused on learning. Gradually, she developed an independent spirit, which made her strong-willed and allowed her to enjoy her company. She continued being a good Muslim girl and even traveled with her parents at age 12 to Mecca, Saudi Arabia, for the Islamic Hajj pilgrimage, but her life soon took a new shape, becoming a model. Unlike many others who rose to stardom, Yasmin was not born into wealth. She even had to work at McDonald's to support her family, balancing her job with school. On a fateful day in 1988, when she was 17, her path crossed with a hairdresser and the artistic director of Planting Couture, Edward Zakaria, who could not but notice her dazzling beauty and walking steps. He couldn't afford to let her go like someone who had just found a treasure. He approached her, told her how beautiful she was, and suggested she venture into modeling. Yasmin must have been taken aback by hearing such compliments. You wouldn't blame her. She's been used to people pointing at her imperfections, and that conversation soon became the breakthrough she never saw coming. Here was a life-changing opportunity presented to her on a platter of gold. As a model, she saw the chance to make money and to upgrade from the present life of poverty, feeding from hand to mouth she is currently, to a better and upgraded life. She saw open doors to opportunities she never imagined staring at her in the face. At first, she was in a dilemma of letting go or embracing this. But on remembering the saying, opportunity comes but once and when lost cannot be regained, she decided to give it a shot. But then, is she ready to face her parents? Most especially her father, the highly esteemed Islamic cleric. The stakes are high. Is the risk worth taking? Let's find out what her decision would eventually be. I can only imagine Yasmin telling her parents after an evening meal that she wants to venture into modeling. The look she would have received, probably an unexpected slap. You wouldn't blame her father. Participating in modeling shows is haram in Islam, as it incorporates a host of activities that contradict the laws of Sharia. These types of shows generally aim to promote the latest styles and designs in fashion to newer fashions appealing nudity and lewd conduct, the intermingling of men and women, and many other wrong practices. Not just that, photography and videoing are an integral part of modeling shows, and a famous Muslim cleric, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, said, "Those involved in picture-making will be subjected to the worst forms of punishment on the day of Qiyamah." We can all agree that most of the clothing being promoted in the modeling show is such that it allows a woman's body to be either exposed or discernible, which is contrary to the laws of Islam. The Hadith has similarly cursed women who reveal and expose parts of their bodies before non-mahram men in a seductive manner to lure them towards themselves. Most importantly, the Deen of Islam is a deen that rests on the bedrock of simplicity and haya, shame and modesty, to the highest levels. Modeling, therefore, opposes the very core of the Islamic teachings. With all these being said, you could have a picture of the disappointment Yasmin's parents would have felt. They didn't just know the law and tenets of Islam, they also taught others to follow the same. But now, their daughter has chosen to disobey them and make them an object of ridicule and shame in their neighborhood because tongues would wail and fingers would be pointed against them. However, Yasmin was not ready to bend, nor was she ready to change her mind, so despite her parents' disapproval, she went ahead and actively pursued a modeling career. Recounting this experience, Yasmin said, "My father is an imam, an Islamic priest. Muslims are not allowed to dance. You're not supposed to show your skin. You're supposed to be covered. You're supposed to be modest." Further explaining, she wrote, "My father was not very happy with me modeling. I am putting him in jeopardy of going to hell. It's very dramatic, running away from home." She summoned courage and eventually told her parents of her desire to pursue a career in modeling. Just as expected, her decision did not go well with her parents, but little did they know that Jamin's mind was made up. However, it is impossible to stay under the same roof with your parents, eating their meals and looking up to them for the basic needs of life, while insisting on violating their rules. Yasmin could not convince her parents of her newfound career and was left with no other option. She took to her heels and ran away from home. Running away from home is not as easy as it appears. It wouldn't be easy for a young girl who had lived in Montreal all her life. It depicts leaving certainty for uncertainty, comfort for discomfort, and security for insecurities. This certainly involved a great deal of personal sacrifice, burning the bridge, and her determination would have been that it was either I win or I win. Knowing that she is responsible for her actions, she doesn't need anyone to preach the message of commitment and dedication to her. Yasmin debuted in Milan and Paris in the late 1980s before traveling to New York in 1990. She began her newly found career by attending modeling agencies, slowly trying to build her portfolio. She eventually settled in New York. In New York, she was exposed to the critics and the labels. The critics had little or no effect on her, as it turns out that she was used to being criticized. And over the years, she has built resistance against criticism. Her diverse background became leverage as, coincidentally, Yasmin appeared on the fashion scene when there was a change from the trend of having predominantly white models. Before she came into the scene, most top models looked the same. They had fair hair and blue eyes that fit a certain European standard. Yasmin's mixture of Eastern and Western looks further became an added advantage, and she became the catalyst for what is known as the Canadian invasion. One would have thought the difference between her and those who had been in the fashion scene would be a turnoff, and that she would be laughed at. Instead, people were captivated by her unique beauty. Not only that, she was referred to as the most beautiful woman in the world. In 1991, Yasmin was described in the New York Times as the coffee-skinned Yasmin, whose hard-to-get gaze was bellied by the ball-bearing swivel of her hips. To think that the same looks that she was bullied for while in school were the same ones that gave her uniqueness shows the importance of staying where one is being appreciated. And indeed, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. After signing with the renowned modeling agency Elite Model Management, Yasmin quickly rose in fashion. Her dedication soon paid off when she walked into the spring 1991 show for the renowned designer Jean-Paul Gaultier, who was popular for his push for his avant-garde designs and his push for diversity. This unexpectedly became her big break and launched her into being in demand from an impressive list of high-end fashion houses. She appeared in campaigns for Givenchy, Hermès, and Versace. Her growth skyrocketed in the early to mid-90s as Yasmine was seen on the face of many top fashion magazines. Her career. Yasmine's first major cover was for Elle magazine in April 1991. Her ability to do her makeup stemmed from the unavailability of enough shades for her skin tone. This soon became her uniqueness because it set her apart from other models. Her fellow model, Tyra Banks, attributed her ability to make herself up to her. She said, "I learned how to do my makeup and how to find the light. No matter what fashion show we were at, we could have been in some dungeon, some alley, some back thing, or at the Louvre in Paris doing a fashion show. She found the light, and if the light were overheard and only up there, this is Yasmine doing her face." Amongst other supermodels of her time, Yasmine could carve a niche for herself by her walk. While speaking about Yasmine, Tyra Banks, a fellow model, said, "Gauri had the walk of life and that. When she walked, it was like her hips were going to dislocate." Still speaking about this, the fashion legend Karl Lagerfeld also said, "Lots of girls try to imitate her walk, but it's not easy because no one has the long legs or body of Yasmine Gauri. Did we talk about her height being 5 feet and 8 inches? Isn't that perfect for a model? It sure is." This peculiarity made her walk for many major brands like Dior and Hermès, to mention a few. In her time, there wasn't a high-end brand that didn't want Yasmine Gauri because she was known to bring life into their collections. Yasmine also modeled for the likes of YSL, Chanel, Dolce & Gabbana, and Versace, and she graces the covers of prestigious magazines like Vogue and Elle. She ventured into acting in the early 2000s, so she is also known for her dramatic and romantic roles in Pakistani TV dramas. She was featured in TV dramas like Kuch Pyar Ka Pagalopan, where she played opposite Fahad Mustafa. She also starred alongside Amina Sheikh and Mohib Mirza in the movie Mere Charagar. In recognition of her devotion, she bagged the Lux Style Award nomination for Best Actress, TV, for Kuch Pyar Ke Pagalopan, and Him Award nomination for Best Actress, Soap, for Mere Charagar. She has also hosted various TV shows and events. Yasmine left a long-lasting legacy behind even after her exit from the fashion industry. She has been said to have opened the door for girls, especially those from Southern Asia, yet she remains matched. By the mid-80s, Yasmine Gauri had become a household name, alongside other notable names like Naomi Campbell, Claudia Schiffer, and Cindy Crawford. Yasmine Gauri may have opened doors for girls who might want to follow in her footsteps, but till now, the industry is still waiting on the new girls who would walk through it with even half the power that she did. Yes, she was exceptional and is often regarded as the model with the best walk. Her success story won't be complete without mentioning some of the barriers she encountered in her career. Yasmine was said to have faced racism and prejudice not just at the beginning of her career only, but even as she progressed. Often, she was subjected to the pressures of conforming to the Western definition of beauty, and sometimes, she was intentionally excluded from certain campaigns and shows. However, Yasmine, being determined and resilient, an ability she has developed over the years, was able to scale through these barriers. She kept moving against all odds, being on top of her game in modeling. Fame. Yasmine enjoyed fame in the early 90s. She was a frequent cover for leading glosses in the 90s, after her first major cover with Elle in 1991. Yasmine was booked to walk for high fashion brands like Gianni Versace's show, Chanel, Helmut Lang, etc. She also appeared in Elton John's music video for the song Sacrifice. In short, Yasmine was seen on the faces of many top fashion magazines, including Vogue and Elle. She was also photographed by the iconic Steven Messiel for Italian Vogue, a platform few models could access. The excellence she puts into her works is commendable. Photographer Patrick Demarchelier, who photographed her for the Italian issue, called her his favorite subject. Yasmine appeared in the 1995 documentary Unzipped by Isaac Mizrahi. She became a frequent face in Victoria's Secret catalogs and the iconic swimsuit issues, further heightening her success. One remarkable and profound quality that Yasmin possesses is her ability to control success, not vice versa. She remained level-headed and didn't let success change her morals. In interviews, she would mention wearing sunglasses and clothing that distracts from her figure. She did so to avoid attention while in public. Usually, models thrive on attention everywhere they go, but Yasmin was different. While she enjoyed modeling, she didn't want it to take control of her life, and this is what makes her unique and rare. A year before she took a bow and retired from the fashion industry, 1996, was regarded as the big year for Yasmin as she walked in the annual Victoria's Secret fashion show. Though later that year, it was said that she pulled out of the Yves Saint Laurent show at the last minute. Why would she do that? There were speculations about her retirement, which eventually turned out to be true. Her success in her career was nothing like she had ever dreamed of, yet her laudable achievements were never by luck or chance. It was all about hard work, courage, and determination. Despite her father's disapproval of the life she chose, she still remembers the rigorous training her father put her through as a child, and she often admits that it helped her to persevere and succeed in the world of modeling. During her active years, the supermodel shared a glimpse of the behind the scenes. She says, "It's not nearly as glamorous as people see it. There's a lot of travel involved. There's a lot of work involved. You're doing hair and makeup for 3 hours before you even get on the set. And that's not so glamorous. People expect a lot of you to behave a certain way. There's a lot. Surely there is a price to pay before getting the prize." The supermodel paid her dues and ate her roles, leaving no crumbs, making her a great force to reckon with in fashion and entertainment. Her childhood experiences left her with some scars that could not be completely erased. But she has chosen to use the stones thrown at her as resources to build her empire. In an interview, she referred to her younger self as an ugly duckling. This led to her becoming self-critical through her modeling career. It wasn't easy to go from undesirable to desirable quickly. The world saw this woman with intoxicating beauty, but she still saw the little girl. Yasmin was at the prime of her career when she called it quits. This was a rude shock to her fans, who always loved to see her on the walk, but she's made her choice. Why do you think she had to quit such a promising profession? Her new career. "The beautiful ones are not yet born, and you can't stay fresh forever," are wise sayings that are very much applicable to models. Yasmin was aware of the retirement age of her career as a model being before 60, and she also understood that her fame would decline as she ages, so she thought it wise to venture into something more lasting and out of public scrutiny. She developed and pursued her interests in economics and law. At age 27, she finally sought normalcy away from the catwalk and decided her life would take a new turn. It is said that, though Yasmin Ghauri has stepped away from the catwalk, she remains a significant figure in the fashion world. She has transitioned into business, launching her beauty products that celebrate inclusivity and diversity. Her brand emphasizes natural beauty and self-care, reflecting on the values she holds dear. Yasmin always loved to have a family of her own, to be called a wife and a present mother, but unfortunately, modeling would not be able to give her that life. Though her success continued to propel her into a lucrative career, she knew it was time for her to leave all behind. So, she chose family over fashion. She finally retired to start a family with her lawyer husband, Ralph Bernstein, and they lived together in their home in Belfort, New York, with their 2 children, their daughter, Maya Bernstein, and their son, Victor Bernstein. It became obvious that Yasmin was not fame-driven. She would always say, "I don't fear fame. I value my life and freedom." When she made a decision, she chose herself regardless of what anyone thought or said. For her, choosing herself mattered, and everyone had come to accept that reality. Her life did not go into extinction after she left modeling. Rather, it went into distinction as she became a role model and a source of inspiration to many, most especially women and young girls. Yasmin now leads a life devoted to philanthropy, particularly those supporting women's rights and education. She genuinely believes that when you empower women, you empower a community. And she is fond of saying, "Empowering women empower communities." She maintains a life outside the camera, but her impacts are not deniable. Her philanthropic efforts have earned her recognition. In 2010, she got an honorary doctorate from McGill University. Also, in 2015, she was featured in Philanthropy magazine's 20 Women Changing the World. She supports organizations like UNICEF, the Global Fund for Women, the American Cancer Society, and many others. As someone who suffered from religious bias as a child, it is not surprising to hear her say she doesn't identify with any major religion. In an Instagram post, she wrote, "My husband is Jewish, my children are Jewish, my father was Muslim and an imam, my mother was Catholic before converting to Islam. I believe in a universal source, and my faith is personally oriented, and I don't identify with any major religion." Beyond her philanthropic work, Yasmin became more active in public speaking and cultural initiatives. As a successful South Asian woman who navigated the challenges of the fashion industry, she became an advocate for diversity and inclusion, using her experiences to inspire others. She spoke about the importance of representation in media and the fashion industry and the need for greater cultural understanding and respect. Her story was resilient, and she became a mentor for aspiring models and young women looking to navigate similar career challenges. One thing Yasmin embodies is the act of giving back to society. This is not difficult to believe for someone who had tasted the low life before finding her way to the top. Even after 33 years of bidding modeling by, she still cannot be forgotten. She has carved her name upon 1,000 rocks, leaving an indelible mark on history. Today, Yasmin focuses on fundraising for environmental causes and breast cancer research. Despite leading a private life following her retirement from the spotlight, Yasmin is slowly re-entering the public eye. She took to her Instagram to post a picture of in June, where she had coffee with an old supermodel friend, Helena Christensen. Both have appeared on the cover of Vogue. The event attracted media attention, sparking hope for a larger reunion of the stars of the 90s catwalks. The 51-year-old model is still as beautiful as ever, though she's been seen with wrinkles that point at her aging. Unlike many other celebrities, she has avoided the limelight and has lived a quiet and peaceful life. Yasmin's decision to enter the modeling world was not an easy word, particularly because of her family's strong opposition to her career aspirations. The first time she was forced to choose between her family and her career, she stubbornly chose her career, while the second time she was faced with a similar choice, though under a different circumstance, she chose her family. How has Yasmin's heroic lifestyle inspired you? Feel free to air your mind in the comment section below. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more videos. Thank you for watching.